Warning. This video contains audio and imagery that some viewers may find unsettling and/or disturbing. Viewers' discretion is advised. Note: the voices you hear in this video are created using AI and is not real voice actors. For the best experience, use headphones and close your eyes.
Juror entry number 1. The Old Man. Part 1. I looked out the window of my car as I drove down the empty road. Oh man, I can't believe it's winter already. Time flies. I looked over at the car monitor, my eyes darting from letter to letter. Alright, I should be near now. Should just be over there. I can't help but feel slightly nervous. Eventually, a house came into view. There it is. I pulled my car to a gentle stop just outside the open gate. I took out a note in my jacket to inspect the address. 162. I looked at the house's number. Alrighty. Perfect, that's the one. I took a deep breath and put on my gloves. I stepped out of the car and locked the door behind me. Before me was a large house, 3 stories tall, with an attic. It was grand, almost the size of a mansion. The large black fence gave me a sense of entrapment. Or perhaps the man living here felt the same. Regardless, I steeled my nerves and walked up to the house. The door was rotting, its paint chipped and cracked. There was a slight sense of damp wood that made my nose scrunched up. It seemed like the house hasn't been taken care of in quite a while. I ran my finger along the cracks, feeling their uneven edges. Small bits of paint chipped off and stuck to my gloves. I smeared my fingers against each other to rub the paint off of it. I looked back up at the grand design of the house. It was intricate. Curves, lines, S-shaped, C-shapes, all kinds of shapes that you can't even fathom. Something akin to those old-timey mansions you would see in movies. I took another deep breath and turned back to the door. I raised my hand up and poured my knuckles to the door. I waited for a moment. Then, I waited for another long moment. While waiting, I just listened to what little birds just left, singing their songs, some chirps here and there. I looked over at the trees, their skinny branches like arms extruding into the sky. Something gave it a sense of creepiness. Oh well, what's done is done. I raised my hand up again and put it to the door. Before I could do so, the door opened up. I retracted my hand, and the door creaked open. The cold air from behind me rushing into the house, making my long red hair flap before my face. I hurriedly put my hair behind my ears again and put on a smile to greet the man living there. The door eventually opened wide enough for me to see his glimmering eyes. They were black, a black hole with one single star in the middle. A glint of light. I can hear his raspy breath from where I stood. Oh, good morning, sir. My name is Emily. It's a pleasure to meet you. I raised my hand up for a handshake. His eyes glanced down at it before looking back up, piercing into my soul. He rejected the offer for a handshake.
What do you want?
I took my hand back, feeling slightly embarrassed. Oh, yes. I'm looking for Sir Ivan, the owner of this house. Do you know him? He looked up and down. His gaze was dull and tired, but still he inspected me, every inch of me from head to toe. The door opened up wider, the light from the outside illuminating his decayed state of being. He looked emaciated. Still, he seemed to be trying his best to maintain some sense of humanity, wearing an elegant dress shirt, and long black pants. His beard was long and unkempt, and his heavy, dark eye bags make him look like he was insomniac.
Come in.
He turned away and started walking. I bowed my head and followed him aside. Around the house were numerous decorations. All looked to be worth a fortune. Gold vases, large oil paintings, and large bookshelves with gold linings on their spines. Do you live alone, sir? The man did not answer, only walking away at his steady pace. The sound of his footstep echoed through the building, making me feel as though I'm walking through an abandoned cave, much less of a house. The man pushed the door open and walked inside of a room. It had a large window on the side of its walls, enabling some light from the outside to shine through, casting a ripple of light on the red-stained carpet. He sat down in a large chair before gesturing towards another one, opposite of him. I walked over and sat down at the large, eccentric seat. The cushion was hard and slightly uncomfortable, as though I'm sitting on a wooden bench. To be honest, it wasn't as comfortable as I thought it would be. The man looked down his feet, his breathing still wheezing. He took hold of the armrest, grasping it as if his life depended on it.
Now tell me, what is it that you want from me?
Yes, I assume you are Sir Ivan? He nodded, albeit weakly.
I am. Well, why do you seek for me? What business could you have with this old fool?
Oh, I'm glad. Yes, I'm simply on a mission to document experiences of mirrors. I hear you were one of those people that have experienced such a thing. I simply wish to hear your story if you don't mind. He did not bother to even look up for even a second, seemingly not wanting to make eye contact with me. I feel a sense of unease from his demeanor.
What is a mirror?
Oh, yes, mirror. That's what we call the things that others cannot see. I call them mirrors because they seem to come from a world beyond our own, sort of like your reflection.
You mean the monster that haunts me each and every moment of my miserable existence?
Yes. Would it be an issue for you to call your experience, sir? If so, I do not wish to trouble you. He fell silent for a moment. He sighs, then tried his best to sit up straight.
It started 10 years ago, the day my beloved wife died. After I got back from burying her, I felt a sudden chill, almost as if I was embraced by winter itself. That night, my nightmare began.
I flipped my journal open and started writing down the story as he told it.
I try my best to sleep in my cold, empty bed, twisting and turning, trying to get some sense of rest, some sort of sleep. I could hear the clock ticking again and again and again. The sound itself almost drove me to insanity that night. The clock struck 12 and then it came from the door to my room. I could hear breathing. It was loud, like a horse's, but like a wailing baby. I don't even know how I would begin to describe it. Just that it made me go to death. Even now, I hear it. But that night, I looked out the door, and to my surprise, there was nothing. The emptiness, the black hallway was all that met me. I I feared that day. All I could do was cover myself with my blanket and laid there, just listening to its heavy breathing, almost as if it was on top of me. But there was nothing there.
I can see him shaking, his hands trembling. His words seem to be very personal, making me feel sorry for him. Something within me also felt unsettled by it, almost as though it is also looking at me.
That day, though, I could not sleep. It was only in the morning that the sound finally stopped and I could get some semblance of rest. Even then, I couldn't shake the feeling that something might be watching me. I couldn't stop trembling from that day. Morning was the only time I could rest, and at night, I would just lay there, looking at the ceiling, seeing nothing, but hearing every little thing. Even when I slept, it would find me in my nightmare, as I'm breathing, constantly breathing.
His face concentrated further, his hand grasping harder at the chair's armrest, his knuckles going white from the effort.
Eventually, it got worse. The breathing became even more deafening, almost as if it was right next to my ear, looking at me, judging me. Yet it's always the same. There's nothing. Even with light in the room, nothing would change. In front of me would be nothing, and yet to my ear they would be screaming, wailing, breathing. I don't know what it wants from me. For the first time in my life, I truly felt powerless to stop whatever this thing is from tormenting me.
I paused writing for a second. So, have you ever seen what it looks like? The man hurriedly shook his head, almost afraid to say something.
No, never. As such, I eventually visited my therapist. I described it all to him, and he would prescribe drugs of all sorts, none of which helped. The clock would strike 12 again and again, and I would suffer just as I did the previous night. If anything, it only made it worse. The breathing would sometimes continue through the day, not give me a break at all. I was tormented for days on end. Each single second, my ear would hear it breathing, screaming, and judging me.
Even as he said so, I could hear the panic in his voice. Obviously, this thing has him fearing for his life. Or, at best, took away his humanity, or what little he had left. I can feel a sense of coldness exuding from the man. It's starting to become unsettling. Even I can't help but feel a little fear. Was it from the man? Or was it from something else?
Eventually, started speaking. At first incoherent mumbling, but then it was loud wailing, the sound of people screaming, wailing. Even when I cover my ear, I can hear those voices, the voices of the damned, the voices of the dead. They would claw at me. Sometimes it would be a whisper, but other times it would be pure screaming, pure agony. I could not go deaf from it. I tried I tried everything, and yet somehow I just kept standing up. I kept hearing what isn't even there. It got so bad to the point where I would stay up for days and days on end.
The man looked at his trembling hands.
I don't know why, nor how I could still be alive, enduring this torment.
I got confused by what he said. Oh? What do you mean?
To be honest, I haven't eaten in months. Same for sleep, the same for quiet rest. Now I hear constantly. Even now I dared not look up at anything in case I see her face.
I'm sorry, you said her? So, can you see it?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. Please, allow me to apologize. The man covered his ears and squinted his eyes closed.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, just stop screaming for one fucking second. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging.
I stand up and try to comfort the man, placing my hand on his shoulder. He quickly staggered away to the corner of his room.
Please, just stop it. Stop it. Just leave me be. I've suffered enough. Oh, please, just stop.
I took my hand back, a little bit surprised at his reaction. I stand up and walked away, giving him the distance he so desperately desired. He started screaming and wailing and crying. It took him a moment to finally calm down.
I apologize. I apologize for my outburst. And I don't know what got into me.
Place a pencil in the valve of the book. Please, no need to apologize. If this is too much for you, then we should stop you for today. If that is alright with you. The man looked back down and nodded his head. He looked to be tired of everything.
Yes, that would be for the best. I am quite tired. Please, leave me alone. Leave me alone.
I apologize, but I do wonder if you would be willing to let me stay here for the time being. I wish to observe if I can. Feel free to reject my offer. I can always come back another day.
No, it's quite all right. I think having company would be a welcome surprise. There's a spare guest room just across from here. Please, feel free to use it as long as you wish. Yes. I need some rest.
Thank you, Sir Ivan. He looked defeated. Now I haven't registered what I said anymore. He gritted his teeth. Perhaps he is still hearing those voices. I got off from the chair and hurriedly excused myself. I will leave you be for now. Thank you for the hospitality. His eyes looked blankly at the moldy red carpet, glazed over with a white mist. His breathing got heavier. I opened the door and walked out of the room, leaving him be. I closed the door behind me. That man, he looked lifeless. A husk of a man he used to be. A frail old man wearing what little humanity he had left. I wonder, what evil could have done such a thing to this poor old man?
If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up and share the video with someone who might enjoy this book. Thank you for listening.